Go out and tell our story. Let it echo far and wide. Make them hear you.
Mr. Chairman and the Credentials Committee, my name is Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer, and I live at 626 East Lafayette Street, Ruleville, Mississippi. That's Sunflower County, the home of Senator James O. Eastland and Senator Stennis. It was the 31st of August of 1962 that 18 of us traveled some 26 miles to the county courthouse in Indianola to try to register to become first-class citizens. We was met in Indianola by Mississippi men, highway patrolsmen, and they only allowed 2 of us in at a time to take the literacy test at that time. After we had taken this test and then we started back to Ruleville, we was held up by the city police and the state highway patrolmen and carried back to Indianola, where the bus driver was charged that day with driving a bus the wrong color. So after we paid the fine among us, we continued on to Roosevelt, and I was met there by my children who told me that the plantation owner was angry because I had tried to go down and register. After they told me, then my husband came, and he said this plantation owner was just raising Cain because I just tried to go down and register. And before he could quit even talking to me, then the plantation owner comes down, and he said, "Fannie Lou, do you know, did Pap tell you what I said?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Well, I mean that. If you don't go down there and withdraw your registration, you will have to leave. Mississippi is just not ready for that." So I addressed him, and I said, "Well, I didn't try to register for you. I tried to register for me." Well, I had to leave that night. Then in June 1963, I had attended a voter registration workshop and was back returning to Mississippi. 10 of us was traveling by the Continental Trailway bus. We got to Winona, Mississippi, which is Montgomery County. The 4 of us tried to get off to use the washroom, and then 2 of the people tried to go in to use the restaurant. The 4 people that had gone in to use the restaurant, they was ordered out. During this time, I was on the bus. But when I looked out and I saw through the window that they had rushed out, I got off the bus to see what was going on. One of the ladies there said that it was a state highway patrolman, and the chief of police just ordered us out. So I got back on the bus, and one of the persons had used the washroom, they got back on the bus too. As soon as I was seated on the bus, I saw where they began to take hold of those 4 people in the highway patrolsman car. So I stepped off the bus, trying to see what was going on, and then somebody screamed from the car, "Get that one right there!" So then I got in the car, and that man told me I was under arrest. And then he kicked me. So I was carried to the county jail, and I was placed in a cell with a young woman, Miss Sylvester Simpson. After I was placed in the cell, I began to hear sounds of just kicking and screaming. And I could hear somebody say, "Can you say yes, sir, nigga? Can you say yes, sir?" And then I heard the woman say, "Yes, I can say yes, sir. I can say it." And he said, "So you say it." And she said, "Well, I don't know you well enough." There was just some other horrible names, and they beat her. I don't even know how long, but at this one point, I just heard her begin to pray. And she actually just begged God for mercy on these people. Well, it wasn't too long before 3 white men came into my cell. One of these white men was a state highway patrolman, and he asked me where I was from, and so I told him I'm from Roosevelt. Well, he said, "We're going to check this." So not too long after that, he came back. He said, "Oh, you are from Roosevelt, all right. We're going to make sure you wish you was dead." So I was carried out of that cell into another cell, and they had 2 Negro prisoners there. The state highway patrolman ordered the first Negro to take the blackjack. And that first Negro prisoner ordered me by the orders of the state highway patrolman for me to go ahead and get down and lay on the bunk on my face. So I laid on my face. That first Negro began to beat, and I was beat by that first Negro until he was exhausted. And I was holding my hands behind me on the left side at the time because I had stroke of polio when I was 6 years old. So that first Negro kept beating me until he was exhausted. And then when he finally was exhausted, the state highway patrolman ordered the second Negro, take the blackjack. So that second Negro began to beat. I just began to work my feet. And the state highway patrolman ordered the first Negro, who had already beat me, to sit on my feet to keep me from working my feet. And I began to scream. And then this one white man got up and began to beat me in the head. And he told me to hush. This one white man, my dress had worked up high, and he walked over and pulled my dress back. He pulled it back up. All this is on account that we want to register to become first-class citizens. And if this Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party is not seated now, I question America. This is America, the land of the free, the home of the brave. I mean, we have to sleep with our telephones off the hooks because our lives be threatened daily because we want to register just to be and live as decent human beings in America.
Make them hear you. Make them hear you.